Okay, so let's bring this into context of everything that we've talked about. Number one, we all have two primary drives that dominate our existence: our fear response system, our common connection system. We can't be in both at once. We're in one or the other, and we see, perceive, behave from that state. The second piece of this, again, is that we are a system of adaptation. So whichever state we're in most often is the state that we create the capacity to be in more of the same. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some psychophysiological foundations pretty briefly. We don't have time to go into it super deep, and at the same time, it's really important to kind of get some kind of understanding of the foundations of this. What we're going to talk about is a couple of things. So we have these two drives. Well, how do we get programmed for those two drives? So we get programmed initially to see and perceive in certain ways, but then when we see and behave in certain ways, and we keep perpetuating the way we see and behave and react, then we just keep perpetuating that programming. So how does that all happen? So this is what I call the spiral of becoming. Every moment of every day we are transforming. Every moment of every day we carry a physiological imprint of that moment. What we're thinking about, what we're feeling, our perceptions, all of that plays out in our whole mind-body complex. Now again, because we're a system of adaptation, the more anything plays out in our mind-body complex, the better we get at doing that. Again, it's just like exercise, or just like learning a math problem. Your body experiences something, and then it just gets more efficient at experiencing that thing. Our emotional systems are no different. So every moment of every day we're becoming something, and this is what I call the spiral of becoming. And what it does is it just kind of really simply lays out how kind of this happens in our whole mind-body complex. Now, again, we have a ton of spirals going on at any given point in time. This is kind of the way I try to simplify it. It all starts with our perception. We are perceiving way beyond our awareness every moment of every day, through our eyes, through our ears, through all of our senses. Most of it is subconscious, meaning that it's being processed by our brain, and beyond our knowledge. It may come to knowledge if parts of our brain decide that it's important enough to kind of bring to our attention. But we are perceiving all kinds of things that are going on in our environment at any given time. From that perception, again, this goes on in like a split second. From that perception, we make immediate meaning of what that means. And again, a lot of this is subconscious. It just is going on beyond our awareness. And then the minute we make any meaning of something, we have a physiological imprint that goes along with that meaning. It's, our neural nets change, the electricity of our body changes, our biochemicals changes, but then the all-important arrow then is how we feel, again, goes back and affects how we're perceiving. And this, you just experienced all of this in the writing that you did and the little video clip that you saw. And then those BRCs that are spiraling off there are our behaviors, reactions, and choices that at any given moment in time, we are in any given point in the spiral, we will behave or react or make a choice that's consistent with kind of how that spiral is going for us. So how does it all start? The perception and the role of implicit memory. Why do we perceive the way we do? Well, we have this thing deep in our brain called our amygdala. And again, I'm really simplifying it because a lot of these systems play together. But I want to give you enough information for our purposes without overwhelming you with too much. So we have this thing in our brain called our amygdala. It's the size and shape of an almond, pretty small, but its job is enormous, and it records every experience we've ever had in our life, and it records it in emotional context, and it files it away to be used as programming to make meaning of all future events. it is subconscious. The amygdala itself is subconscious, although it works in concert with some more conscious parts of our brain, but the amygdala itself is subconscious. It's very connected. If you'll see that brown piece going down there as your brain stem, it is very connected to the rest of your body. So at some level, it's usually felt physiologically, but what it does is it records all of our past experience in emotional context, and then it evaluates our current situation and tells us how to feel in response to the way it's been programmed. So what then happens when your amygdala perceives something that looks something like it's experienced in the past? Front part of your brain is your frontal cortex, and that wants to make sense of it. And so what happens is your amygdala gets, kind of floods you with an emotional experience that's consistent with something that you've experienced before, and then the front part of your brain wants to make sense of it, so it attaches that feeling response to what's going on in your current environment. And this is going on all different levels, every moment of every day. It's how we make emotional meaning of our current context. If we didn't have that process in place, we wouldn't know how to make meaning of the things that we're seeing in our current environment. It's a really good process. And a lot of times it gets way out of balance because the amygdala does its job well, and sometimes it overdoes its job in the context of our current life.